First, what we like to do is we've got this new concept now. We do a little bit of a quickfire question. So we ask you some questions, short, sharp answers, and then we take a deeper dive later on in the episode, if that's okay.
Yep.
Cool. Okay. So one PEMF myth people still believe.
I would say there's two. The first one is that PEMF just doesn't work, which is wrong. And I was one of those people. I didn't think it worked. So I tested it and lo and behold, it works just fine. The other one is this one. I hope this doesn't, insult anyone, that they can understand it and that they can reason their way through the science and prove that it works. And it's not well understood enough to do that. And we only understand about the first half of PEMF. To really understand that, you kind of need like a degree in electrical engineering or physics.
No, I agree with that.
It's not that simple. So people think there's like a simple way to explain it. And I've been looking for that for about 30 years and haven't found it. So if you hear a good one, just a compelling, simple explanation, let me know. I'd love to know.
I will. Is frequency overrated in PEMF?
It's not the main thing. It's an important thing. And you got to be kind of roughly in the right range. But I think when people start talking about like ultra specific frequencies to have specific, sort of like therapeutic effects, I don't really believe that because I've been looking for decades and I haven't seen that. There is one exception, I think, for brain entrainment type things. Frequency matters, but it's not super precise. And if you think of the way your brain waves work, you just look at EEGs, that varies over time and it varies between people. So you're not talking about one exact frequency fits all. You're saying, okay, for a certain person and a certain state of awareness, a certain range of frequencies is likely to induce a certain kind of brain activity, roughly. That's where I think it matters. So that's the sort of the simple thing of frequency.
Yeah.
The complicated part is the electrical engineering part, which is what you'd call an FFT, a Fourier transform. And that would be the frequency components contained in each wave pulse. That's crucial. But that's rocket science. And, you got to kind of know some calculus to understand it.
Hertz or pulses per second?
Exactly what we were just talking about. To an electrical engineer signals person, hertz frequency is the first derivative of phase. And if you said anything other than that, you got that question wrong on your final exam. So to electrical engineers who are not thinking about physiology or anything, they're thinking about sine waves and they're thinking about pure frequencies. For a lot of things like computers, the pulse itself, how many pulses do you get per second in like your processor? That's what they think of as frequency. That's a lot closer to what physiology looks at. There's many examples in physiology that kind of frequency, it's important. But as I was saying, when you're talking about the device itself, how many pulses per second, there's really good evidence that there's different regimes in which PEMF works really well. Like Arthur Pila, a few decades ago, he got tremendously positive. Some of the best scientific literature out there, Arthur Pila, he passed away about a decade ago, but he was doing things in this sort of low 1,000 hertz range, like around 2,000 or 3,000. He was getting excellent effects on cancer. I think I do a completely different thing in sort of a up to 1 to 100 hertz or pulses per second range, because I'm looking for different kinds of physiological effects. So I think PEMF is sort of like chemistry. It's like chemistry is really complicated and there's whole different subgroups of it, And I mean, how many different chemicals are there in the universe? Maybe 200 million. And how many different PEMF waveform combinations are there? It's more like a quadrillion. So you got to be looking, it's like, what are you trying to achieve with a certain kind of chemistry? Kind of look at it that way with PEMF. It's like, well, what are you trying to achieve and what seems to have a biological effect in that range?
That's all right. We'll take a deeper dive into these a little bit later on.
I'm sorry. Some of these things it's hard to give a short answer because they're really complicated.
No, it's all right.
I'll try to be brief.
No worries. What's the most important part of a PEMF waveform?
The rate at which it turns on and off.
Good. What is the best PEMF waveform?
I believe a sharp waveform that's very narrow, turns on, turns off right away, and then it's mostly off the rest of the time. So it's on and off for about 0.2% of the time, and then it's off for the rest of the time. And that's for each pulse.
Yep. And a unipolar or bipolar waveform?
Super complicated question that I worked on for a few years in my PhD. Briefly, oh God. I don't know if a user would be able to tell much of a difference. I do think there's a difference in the way the physiology is working and a difference in the way the ions are being transported. So if you were trying to push ions in a certain direction, you'd want a unipolar. And if you were just trying to shake the ions back and forth, there's good reasons to do that. If you're trying to get them to be detected on cell memory, you'd kind of want a unipolar. So like, a bipolar. Was unipolar withdrawal. So if you're trying to shake things back and forth, you kind of turn it positive, negative, positive. If you want to push them, you keep pushing them the same way. So unipolar. I think that's probably as sure as I can make it.
Are lower intensity devices underestimated?
Yes, absolutely. I can go into as much detail on that as you want.
That's fine. That's all we need for now. What's one PEMF spec companies should publish but rarely do?
The measured rate of change of turning on and turning off at the magnetic field, not the driver electronics, but how quickly is the magnet turning on and off.
And is that known as the slew rate?
That's the slew rate. That's the first time derivative of Gauss. It's like how quickly it turns on and off. And none of them, as far as I know, really say that. And when you test what they're doing, a lot of times they don't even know themselves.
Yeah. And the biggest mistake people make using PEMF?
My opinion is using it last. I did a big survey at one of Joe Mercola's meetings 8 years ago or so. And it was really interesting. PEMF is like car keys. Okay. They're always in the last place you look. Okay.
Yeah, it's a good point. And are you talking about when it comes to like stacking it with other therapies?
Yeah, I did a huge survey of like 410 clinicians, and the average number of things they tried before trying PEMF was 11 or 12 different things.
Yeah.
But I personally believe, based on my scientific and personal experience, I think PEMF by itself is really great, and you should do that earlier rather than later when you're searching things. But also, I think it's the single greatest synergistic adjunct thing you can do with anything else. I've been told by, surgeons, chiropractors, nutritionists, functional medical people, when they add PEMF, things almost uniformed work better.
Yeah, and it's a great point because I've been asked to do a lot of talking at the moment, speeches, that sort of thing on PEMF therapy. And one of the biggest points and one that people resonate with and want to hear about is actually using PEMF therapy before many other modalities. So use it, people are going in oxygen chambers now. People are using red light therapy. People are using saunas. Put PEMF therapy before that, 10 minutes before it, and you see the benefits of those other therapies. It's prepare the body, prepare the cells.
Absolutely. I mean,
after.
I had hip replacement, for example, and I used it just before the surgery and then after. And I've had relatives and friends and people who buy my, technology now. I've suggested they consider that. And people will say, yeah, it really helped with their like post-surgical recovery, or it really helped with, doing it a little bit before, because I think what's happening is it reduces inflammation, makes things respond better to whatever that thing is you're doing.